There will always be moments of overwhelm that will crash like powerful waves against the joys we are trying to raise. But when we take control of these waves of emotions, we can stop overwhelm and start to create beauty in our own lives. And when you are ready to face the chaos or face the overwhelm, sometimes it's better to not go with the flow and rather tap into the left brain where we have to be very analytical. And that's what today's waves are about. We are going to go very technical, and I'll walk you through the whole process so you won't have to feel like you need to figure it out all on your own. I did try the free flowing version in our in person classes, but I believe that our human minds are so trapped in having everything laid out logically that the free flow method just doesn't always work. So, let's get a little bit technical as I walk you through how to create these two waves. And hopefully, by the end, the waves of overwhelm will be waves of joy. Now, this piece I've cut off here is about 9 centimeters wide, and it is from an A4 page. I'm folding it in half so that we don't have to measure out the half. You just reach to the other end. Then we need a diagonal cut, cutting from the corner at an angle to create a point. I'm just smoothing out that edge at the back and unfolding it so that the point points towards me. Let me demonstrate why. So that point needs to be inside the fold of either your map or your book or your card, the thing you are making, so that it can open and close. Don't worry about more technical stuff right now. Just get that first cut done, organize your mind so that we can start painting that first wave. Now, I am going to show you how to cut that bottom piece that is going to be stuck in your book. So from that freshly cut edge, I am going to measure out 1 centimeter in the corner and 1 centimeter at the bottom. On the other side, I'm going to do the same. 1 centimeter on the bottom and 1 centimeter on the side. These little pieces you are going to cut out. And from edge to edge, you are going to create a fold. So trim those. Use the other side as well with your ruler, very technical, and make your fold line as well. Now, if you're having trouble to fold thick paper freehand, you can score that strip there with the end of your scissors. That scoring line will just make things easier to fold if your paper is very thick. You can fold it without doing this, but this is the technical way. So folding that over and making sure that footing is now done and complete, and it's going to fit in your book like this. I'm going to use the back of the other block of paper to prevent any spillover of my waves. By drawing these waves first, they just curls that curl over from the center outward, and adding that cobalt teal and variations of blue just to create the waves. please don't overthink this process. Simply create the waves as easily as possible, following those basic outlines of your pencils. Add a little bit of ultramarine blue, maybe a dash more of the cobalt teal, and see how the waves just happen to form simply because you are following that shape. We are not getting very technical with this part. We're merely showing where those curls of that wave is taking place. And the rest we are filling right up to that edge with watercolor that fits and matches our overall ocean theme. With a quick rinse of the brush, we are going to dip into that white to indicate where we want the foam. We are not going to overthink this or get too technical. It's just an indication. And the white is going to mix in with all the blues you have in there, and that is okay. Next, you can take some of that ultramarine blue and just add a little bit of it to help guide the direction of your waves. A touch here and there is all you'll need. So, I've given it a couple of minutes to soak into the paper and then decided to come back in with a couple of extra dots of blue. Only because I wanted more depth and definition, but you can decorate your waves any way you like. I'm also coming back in with some more white to help with the illusion of foam. Now, to define this even further, I'm using this water-soluble indigo blue and creating a couple of lines. And I've got it in the back of my mind that I want to smudge this out, like you just saw me do with my finger, and then later adding white and gold when this is dry. So let's see how that works. We could always come back in and change a few things once everything is dried, or even now you could lift some out if that is something you want. So, having a quick closer look, you'll see that there are a little bit of definition lines, but I think the wave is coming together. It's got nice shades and lights, and look at me. I'm cutting it while it is wet. It doesn't really matter. You can have it dried completely and then cut it out, or cut it out while you wait for it to dry. With this bottom edge not having any paint on, it's kind of a little bit easier to hold on to. If I had painted that part, I probably would have waited until everything had dried first. There we go. So this I can now easily set aside to let it dry while I work on the next wave. Let's use the other half of that page with the parrot on. It looks like about 11 centimeters will be available for this, but I'm not going to use the full width of the 11. I am going to cut that in half again so that I will have two additional parts to work with. Just follow along here for a minute or so. So we'll fold that cut off piece in half, and it doesn't have to be perfect, just get it into the middle. But I want you to use half of this piece. So we'll make our very technical trimming there at 5.5 centimeters. Make sure it is perfectly in half, and then make our cut. And now cutting again from that corner inwards so that we have a point on the fold that is going to fit onto the book or our map. Again, measuring out that 1 centimeter on the corners and the bottom edge so that we can have a very accurate measure of what to cut away. As before, we are also going to trim that and make sure we have a proper folding line. You can score that as before and have your second little wave ready. Now we're ready to start painting this one as well, and as you can see, it will fit as the previous one did, except this one is going to be a little bit lower, so you'll be able to peek over it onto the next wave. But it's still going to be on the same fold. So let's do the painting for this one. I'm going to speed through it because it's going to be exactly the same as before. Use the same colors so that the waves look like they belong together and come from the same ocean. A quick splash of darker color, a little bit of white, and pencil, of course, just like before, so that our waves look like they belong together. A quick cut out, and our wave is ready. The third little wave, we are going to use half of this third piece, only because we want a single wave that's only going to be on one side. So for this single one, I'm going to draw the line for that angle. From the corner to that middle part, 1 centimeter at the bottom, 1 centimeter on the other end, another 1 centimeter on the side, and we'll repeat that on the other end as well. This is, of course, again for our footing, making it nice and wide so we have trim off those parts that we don't need and paint this wave exactly the same colors as the previous two. A little bit of the cobalt teal, a nice big wave, a little bit of the ultramarine, some white, of course, for our wave and the foam cut out, and we are just about ready to add some pencil details and finish up this wave as part of our 3-wave system. So I'm waking up some gold paint here. It's watercolor paint from the Gansai Tambi series. And on the driest one, I'm going to start adding a few wavy details. Not too much. Our wave shouldn't be gold. It should just have a few gold accents. You could use silver or glitter or even more white if you want to. And speaking of white, you can even add some white pen details as toppings over those foamy areas if you like. Now I've let everything dry properly, and using my map I am going to place this on that fold line. So the first corner where the fold was in the corner needs to fit tightly into that fold. So when you fold it over, it needs to fit in there. When your page open, it's going to flip up your wave or pop up your wave. All you have to think about now is approximate placement so it doesn't overlap with one of your lighthouses or islands or something that you'd like to preserve or keep. And also note that the whole wave doesn't stick out from the edges. If it does, just move it slightly or cut your wave shorter or lower, if that makes sense. Now I'm going to stick a few examples on this smaller map. Now this one only has one fold in the middle, so I'll have to be careful about where I'm placing my waves. But I can already tell that I'll have to place my waves sort of over one of these islands or landmarks. And I'm fine with that. It's not going to bother me at all. All I want is for my wave to be nicely positioned and to sit on top of this map. So, roughly placing it, I'm also taking my glue and adding it to that strip that is now going to firmly and securely sit onto the map. And I'm doing one side at a time because you'll see how easy it is to actually do the other side once this side is stuck down. So you'll fold over the other half and literally apply a little bit of glue on the other side that's going to touch the opposite side of your map. And we're going to fold it closed, and that will create the exact angle at exactly the right position. All you have to do is give it a minute or two to make sure the glue dries. Right, so look at that. The angles, and again, I didn't wait long enough, but the angle is automatic. It happens by itself as long as you have that folded edge nicely tucked into the fold of the map or the paper or the card, whatever you're making that you are doing the pop up for, so that it can fit in snugly. Now, I'm fiddling with this and I shouldn't do that. I should actually have left it and let it dry a little bit. But you know how we are. We are impatient and we want to touch everything. So, the bigger wave, I'm going to do. Now, that's a little bit of a problem for me. So I'm putting that aside and I'm thinking about how I could place this small single wave. Now, that could either fit behind one wave or in front of a wave. I just trimmed a little bit off there because it was sticking out behind the wave and I didn't like that. I'm thinking this will be better suited on the front end. And taking a look at it now, maybe even on the other side. So we'll need some way for this wave to be able to be lifted up while the other wave is popping up. So we'll need a little attachment, and I'm just using one of these scrap bits to create a little bridge between the front wave and the back wave. And I'll just stick it on so that they can connect with each other and make sure to paint that part the same color as the ocean that is between the two waves, so that when you look from the top down that you don't have that white part sticking out. So this smaller front wave will need glue as well. And I'm going to be very careful when I place this because I've already folded my little bridge there and I want there to be enough space between the bridge and the two waves to make sure that they fit nice and snug. The last thing I want is a section that is going to fall flat or overlap too much and ruin the way the wave attaches or flips up when we do the little pop up. Important again to let the glue dry. I had to say this to myself at least 20 times because I kept on fiddling and I don't want you to fiddle. So please let your glue dry and let it rest so that it doesn't fall apart every time you touch it. So I do have that very big wave left and I'll leave that for my other map. In the meantime, I could actually make a mountain out of this little one, or I could take some of that scrap and paint a little whale or a dolphin or some kind of sea creature that would pop up behind the wave. I'm going to see if I can squeeze in a little whale. Yes, a whale. My mind says whale. So I'm going to do this one out of my head and try and fit it into this little corner. Just like the ocean has that currency of flowing and moving back and forth, maybe steady turbulence, maybe underrunning currents, so too our emotions show through the experiences we go through. And while we are learning to navigate our own emotions, we need to take into consideration that everything moves in cycles. The trick is to remember that both are part of the same ocean. Without them, the churning will create a vortex that sucks us in. Riding the waves as they come is about accepting the dips as much as the rising tides. And if you do things wrong, what does it matter? You will always have another go at it. You will always have another opportunity to do it better, do it different. Try another approach. Or, like my little whale turned out here, it's not perfect, but for now it is good enough. And I have learned to accept that I don't have to be good at everything. And when we navigate the waves and currents of our lives, we can also see now that we also don't have to be perfect all the time. We don't have to do it right every time. We are allowed to make mistakes and to ride the waves of the emotions we are going through so that the next time something comes around, we know how to do it better. All right, the last thing I'm going to do is just find a little place for my whale to live, and if it doesn't want to fit onto one of these waves, I am just going to stick it down in some area where there's ocean. To me, it really doesn't matter if the whale is part of the wave or part of the ocean. What matters is that I now have experience on how to tuck a wave inside a little off-cut triangle, and that made me smile. So, until we meet again, have fun creating your little whales, have fun experimenting, have fun creating waves in the world, and also don't forget that you can ride the waves of emotion the best way you can, and that there is no right or wrong way to do it. Now, my whale is stuck here temporarily, and I'm just trying to figure out if I should make her or him lighter or darker so they can stand out from the wave's color. Maybe I'll take them down from here and maybe stick it into the ocean, who knows? Or I could use it for another project. It doesn't have to be for this one. So while the whale is hanging onto that little spot I created for it, I'm adding a few details, maybe an outline here and there, and just observing whether I like the look of the whale there or not. Now I want to see what your little scene looks like and how your waves turned out. Don't be afraid to share. I am all ears and all eyes. And create more scenes of your own.